There's been a murder. Who is lightning? She kills people. It tasted good. This wasn't the best idea to sit on the floor, because my butt is numb. Got the audiobook. Audible. Sponsor me. Thou art precious. Hi, hello, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. My name's Lisa, and today we are going to be going through my May Wrap-Up as quickly as possible, because there's like 23 books in total that I read. I don't know how many of those are physical books, but we're just gonna scoot through them, pull up my core pile. I'm just going to whiz through the books that I read in May, and briefly the rating that I gave them, starting with the lowest rated book. So the lowest rated book of May was Den of Vipers. I will link my vlog up in the cards and down below. It is over an hour, so you might want to put it on 2 speed if you want to watch it. My full spoilery thoughts are in that vlog. It started off okay, went downhill drastically. All I need to say, it was an ordeal. I buddy read it with Kitty. Love Kitty to bits. She's brilliant. So glad I got to do a buddy read with her, and we're going to be doing another one soon. But the book wasn't it for me. Massive letdown, although I did get warned that it could possibly be a letdown, but there we go. My fault. Got it on Kindle, it was free, didn't pay for it, so I'm all good. There's that. Never to be discussed on this channel again. Putting it in a box, sending it on its way into the universe of YouTube. Next up we have Motor Crush Volume 1. This is also going to be not in chronological order. It's going to be in the rating order. So I gave this 3 stars. It was very okay. Not really getting a feel for the characters as yet. I'm very character driven, and even in the graphic novel I can sort of like become attached to the characters. But in this one, the main character, I've forgotten her name already. Domino. It's not a common name either. Not really. It is okay. I want to continue with the series because the concept is good, and I also thought it was more fantasy, but it's sci-fi, which can't get enough of sci-fi recently. I'm wanting all the sci-fi, so I like the sci-fi aspect of it, and also it's got motorbikes in here, because even though I was scared to ride a motorbike, I don't mind reading about them, so that's fun. But we'll see where the rest of the series goes. It's also got LGBTQ plus rep in it, which would have been great for June because it's Pride Month, but here we are. This was good. 3 stars. Next up, next 3 stars was The Watcher. This was very average, very okay. I guessed from partway through who the bad person was and what the situation was. This is told in first person, and it follows a woman and a husband who have moved to a new apartment in an area that's being gentrified, and she used to watch birds, but she very wisely decides to watch her neighbours instead. And then it says it on the back, somebody dies, and she takes it upon herself, again, not being a detective or anything, to try and find out what happened to this person, why she died, how she died. And it's all told in first person, like I said, and it's told in like she's talking to us as well. She keeps making comments about like, don't tell me I'm crazy and blah blah. In one of my vlogs, I'll find out what vlog it is, I have sort of like mentioned briefly what this is about in more detail. But it got a 3 stars, so it's very average. I guessed what was going on, and I will be unhauling this as well. Woo. Next up, I don't have it on me, It is Northern Lights. This follows a girl called Lyra. It's the first in a trilogy. Follows a girl called Lyra who was brought up in Oxford, being taught by these, I don't know what they were, I can't remember what they were. Not priests, but like scholars, that's what they're called. And then she ends up finding out something about this thing called dust, and she's a very intuitive young girl. I gave this 3 stars because it was interesting. I was intrigued, however I didn't connect with Lyra at all. There were parts of it where I was just like, what? I don't know. It was very okay. It wasn't amazing, which is disappointing because I've heard so many good things about like the books, and it's a show on the BBC, and I wanted to watch the show, but maybe I'll connect with the characters if I watch it. I don't know, but it was okay. I don't want to continue with the series because it left on a cliffhanger, and I want to know what happens. And that was it for the 3 stars. We then move on to the plethora of 4 stars that we have, and we come on to City of Brass. This follows a girl called Nari who starts out as like a con woman who she knows that she can feel like what's underlying with people, like any underlying health concerns and things like that. She uses this as like a way of conning people to spend money at her friend's apothecary. What she doesn't realise, she doesn't believe in like magic and things like that, even though she knows there's something different about her. And she decides one day to do like a seance type like exorcism, and she ends up summoning a Jinn warrior who doesn't like being called a Jinn, he's a Deva, and he's called Dara, and I love Dara. I may change my mind on that, but I love Dara. I liked Nari as a character. I grew to like Ali as a character, or Ali, I don't know how you want to say it, but this is steeped in Middle Eastern sort of mythology and like traditions, and it's political, it's fun, fine, fresh, funky, fabulous time. And I only gave it 4 stars instead of 5 because the start of it was exponentially slower than it needed to be. But once you do get past this sort of 100-page mark, maybe a bit less than that, I don't know. Once you get past the 100-page mark, it is amazing. There is a lot of travelling, which I don't feel like I would normally enjoy, but because of the relationship between her and Dara, because you keep flicking perspectives to different characters as well, it's not just a constant like, we're travelling, nothing's happening. Because there's sort of chemistry and conversations and drama and stuff, it's a fun, fine, fresh time, and I love it. Loved it. Can't wait for the rest of the series. Still need to get my hands on them, and I will be doing soon. Next up we have Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I absolutely loved this. Once again, give it 4 stars. Only reason why I gave it 4 instead of 5 just wasn't giving me the 5-star feels. This may be different for the rest of the story. I feel like the pacing was a bit strained, but I loved the characters. I like Karoo. I like the potential love interest in this. Something happened that I didn't expect to happen, and I kind of cried. Was it good tears or bad tears? You'll have to read the book to find out if you've not already read it. Would recommend. It's brilliant. Can't wait to read the rest of the series. I think I've got the 2nd one, but yeah. Next up we have Serpent and Dove. I cannot believe I waited so long to read this. I love Lou, I love Reed, I love the banter. Again, with this one, the pacing did seem a bit off at times. It was a bit slow in getting into it, but I think I was waiting for something massive to happen, and the big revelations don't come until like near the end. But it's still full, it's floppy as frick though, isn't it? Look at that bad boy. Wow. There are things that happen throughout the book, clearly, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have given it 4 stars. Yeah, it was just the pacing really, and it took a bit to get into, took a while to like lead up, but I can't wait for the rest of these to come out. I'm going to be getting this in hardback because I loved it so much, and I'm getting the rest of the series in hardback because it's just top tier shit. Top tier shit. I'm hoping the rest of the series is as good as this, because I want to see what happens with Lou and Reed and Coco and gang and gang. Please, forget I did that. Forget I did that. I didn't do that. Next up, we have Breach of Peace. It's a novella by Daniel Green. We've just found out that the next novellas that it was going to publish is not going to be novellas, it's going to be a novel. It's going to be putting 2 novellas into one to round off this series, which is then going to lead into a series of novels. This follows a woman called Clyde, a guy called Samuel, a guy called Chapman, who are all detectives, and they're investigating a murder. There's been a murder in a house of some very rich people, and they're there to investigate what happened. I can't say much more than that because it's a wee book, but loved it, absolutely loved it. Gave it 4 stars. Couldn't give it 5 stars because I don't think I ever thought of giving a novella 5 stars. I don't know, it wasn't 5-star feels, but maybe because it was just short. It was very fast paced, but it wasn't too fast paced that I couldn't keep up with it. So I like that. One thing I do, obviously because it's a novella we couldn't do this, but what I would have liked to have been able to do is spend more time marinating with the characters and getting to know them a bit more. But it left obviously on a cliffhanger, and again, top tier shit. That is now my phrase of the week. Next up, we have Only Mostly Devastated. This is a queer, contemporary, Grease style retelling. I said Grease, as in Grease Lightning. Yes, Grease. And got 4 stars. Again, not a 5-star feels kind of read, but it was so wholesome, and it really dealt with what it's like for someone who hasn't come out and someone who has, and they've been like interested in each other and like worried about what people will say, and it was just so well done in my eyes. This is not an Unvoices review, but I just felt like, although possible I didn't give it 5 stars, at times the main character was whiny. But again, he's a teenager, he's going to be whiny, he's going to be a bit like, I felt like bashing their heads together and saying, look, get a grip of yourself. But it was good. And this is by Sophie Gonzalez. I forgot to say this. I will be picking up more of her books because she's brilliant. I can't wait to read more from Sophie Gonzalez. And my contemporary shelves are growing. Next we have To Kill a Kingdom. This follows, getting pins and needles, I don't know if it's Lyra or Lyra, but it follows Lyra. I'm gonna say Lyra, who's a siren. She kills people. We have a main character who starts off evil, she kills people, and we have Prince Elian, who is a siren hunter. Siren hunter, YA, fantasy, romance. It is just a good old time. Alexander Christo has also brought out a duology, which I can't wait because the writing style was top tier shit. I loved it. Like, I drank it all up. I just consumed it, and it was just like, I think it was like in 2 sittings. And the only reason it was in 2 sittings is because I started reading it late in the day. If it had been started during the day, earlier on in the day, it'd have been a 1 sitting deal. Because I just wanted to consume Elian and Lyra. And the banter in this one as well. Serpent and Dove and To Kill a Kingdom. The banter. Can we have more genuine chemistry between characters? Even like the friendships. It was not necessarily not necessarily just between like the love interest. It was like the friendship banter and chemistry as well. I loved it. Absolutely loved it, and we just need more friendship, like platonic chemistry as well in books, because I just, again, drank it, ate it, loved it, it tasted good. Next up we have Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. Although he doesn't punch a hole in the sky, he punches a hole in a tree that creates the hole in the sky in a world called Midpass. I don't know if the world's called Midpass or the place within the world is called Midpass, but he punches a hole in a tree that ends up creating a hole in the sky, and I really enjoyed this. I will leave a link down below to the live show that this was for. This was for Middle Grade Monthly, and there were very mixed reviews on this book. I personally loved it, the host not so much, but, and obviously if you don't know, the hosts of Middle Grade Monthly are Gavin and Jade. Also, they are always linked in my description box down below, because I have all my favourite YouTubers always linked in my description. So if you like to know who I like to watch on a regular basis, they are always in the description box below. This follows a boy called Tristan. Like I said, he has recently been through trauma, losing his best friend, and he is only young, he hasn't come to terms with that, and then this thing happens where he punches a hole in a tree that creates a hole in the sky that creates some danger. That's all I'm going to say. Possibly longer than it needed to be. Gave it 4 stars because there was a character in this, and if you read it, you know who it is. I did not like this character at all. Maybe if I listened to it, I could have got a better feel of the character. But in my eyes, this person's voice in my head was the most annoying voice ever. And that can put me off a book. It didn't put me off this, but it can bring it down for me, and it did, because I don't feel like there was any need for the characters to be the way they were. There might be a reason behind it. Also, this has made me want to look up like West African mythology, and I love the fact, I know I'm talking really fast, I'm really sorry, I just don't want this to be an extra long video because I've still got a ton of books to go through, but I want to learn more about some of the characters in here that I don't already know about. I know about Brer Fox and Brer Rabbit, and everybody's got a happy place to go. Oh, oh. Song of the South, if you know, you know. If you've watched Song of the South, you'll know some of the characters in here, but I definitely 100% want to learn more about West African mythology and just drink it all up. So which lands along Book of May. I tabbed this. Can you see? You can't see. There we go, we tabbed. This was the novella. It has deckled edges. I realise this is the first book that I have with deckled edges, and I don't know if I'm a fan, but I really enjoyed this. Although it got 4 stars because it did take me a while to get into it, but it was I'm very happy I got into it, and I could see this from the perspective of one of the characters we don't see much of in the other books, and it kind of it's like gives us a bit of an origin story for some characters. Love it. Can't say much because it's a novella, and spoilers because it's like in the middle of a series, but if you followed the Which Lands along read along that Jade is doing, you'll have read this in May. You'll understand what I mean. 4-star vibes. Loving it. Next up we have Shadow and Bone. Can we just praise Leigh Bardugo? Because I mentioned this in my video, and I will say it again, I don't understand why people don't like this book. If you go into it knowing that it's early YA, if you go into it knowing that it's not going to be the most exquisitely written masterpiece, then it's all good. I like Alina in this. I like Mal in this. I don't think he overreacts. I don't think he's a whiny person either. I just liked it all. The reason I gave it 4 stars instead of 5 is because it just didn't give me the 5-star feels. I have to have a feeling to get 5 stars, and it just didn't give me that feel. But I loved Mal, loved Alina, just consumed it all in one sitting. Can't wait to get the rest of the books. I've heard that the rest are coming out in collector's editions, but I am going to get all 3 in paperback just so I can read them all before they come out in collector's editions, because why not? Sorry, we're on 23 minutes, so I'm going to try and keep this as succinct as possible. So yes, I gave this 4 stars, I gave 6 of Crows 4 stars, Crooked Kingdom 5 stars, King of Scars 4 stars. So Leigh Bardugo is potentially going to be an auto-buy author for me, because I have loved all their books to date. Anyway, on to a graphic novel, Lumberjanes. Gave this 4 stars, loved it. It follows a group of girls who are at camp. They are lumberjanes, obviously, as per the title, and they are just great. I love. Oh, this has also got LGBTQ plus rep in it. I think it's hinting that it's going that way. I think it does, but there's a character in this, and I think she's called Ryder. She is just so funny, and she reminds me of me when I was younger. When I was younger, I was a lot more outgoing, and I was a lot more adventurous, and you couldn't say shit to me, and I wouldn't care what anyone thought of me. She just reminds me of me when I was younger, and I just loved it. And they just get into trouble at camp, and just they put the fear into their camp counselors who are trying to keep them out of trouble, and it's just great. I can't wait to get the rest of the volumes of this, and I think there's quite a few volumes that I need to get in order to get up to date on this one, but I'm definitely going to be continuing with the series on this one. We're coming to my 5-star reads. I'm going to start with a book that was not technically a 5-star, but I can't rate it because it's I don't feel right rating it. So this is Black is the Body by Emily Bernard. I don't feel like I can rate this because this is very personal. It's a non-fiction, and it's essays about what she's been through as a black woman living in America after an incident that happens. So yeah, I don't feel like I could rate this, but I would recommend that. I just think everyone needs to read it to get some insight into how people of colour feel. And she is light-skinned, so I've seen some reviews on this where people have sort of judged her for the fact that she is a light-skinned person of colour, and because she married a white man. I don't have comment on that. That is not for me to comment on. I'm just commenting on the actual book. Personally, I think it was brilliant, so well written. Her writing was just, there were times where I like got a lump in my throat, I teared up, but it also made me think so much, like on the brain. Just, it was great, and I would recommend that if you can read it, you do read it. If you've moved, it's because we've got a new battery. So the next one we have is Ready Player One. I absolutely loved this book. I loved the writing, I loved the characters, I loved the journey, the intense, will they find the Easter egg that they need to, like, it literally is an egg. This follows a young boy called Wade who lives in a dystopian world where basically he's not got a life. He lives with his auntie who is not a nice person. She's not a nice person. So a lot of the kids in his world in this particular time, they go to the Oasis, where it's been created by these two gamers. It's a whole virtual world where you can go to school in this virtual world. It's just like his life is the Oasis. When the creator of the Oasis dies, it leaves little nuggets and little clues to sit, and says that if you can get to the end of this game and you get the Easter egg, I don't even know if it's called an Easter egg, it's called an egg, it's an egg, it's a thing. If you can find the egg, then you get the Oasis. You own the Oasis. Well done you. Hurrah. And this just follows Wade and his friend H, and then they meet a girl and another character, a couple of boys, and like although him and H are like best friends, they're still in competition for this egg because like they're very protective of like the clues, and they just it's just a grand old time. But this was already top tier shit, but add on top of that Will Wheaton narrating the audiobook. I've only ever seen Will Wheaton in Big Bang Theory. You might think that I'm crazy for not having seen Will Wheaton in anything else. Not that I can think of anyway, but I will be seeking out more things with Will Wheaton in, because his narration style was just top tier. I can say more things about a bad book than I can about a good book. It was just all around fun, fine, funky, fresh time, full of frolics, fighting for your life in some cases, but it was freaking fabulous. What is with all the F's? I have no idea, but would 100% recommend. Kind of scared to pick up Ready Player 2 because I've been told it's not as good, and Wade kind of turns into a little bit of a douche, but we'll see. I might pick up Ready Player 2, I might not, I might just keep in my Ready Player 1 bubble and just keep it as is. Highly likely that I'm going to do that, because I don't want my idea of Wade to be tarnished. Next up we have One Piece Volume 1. I haven't read the other 2 volumes. I started watching this anime, I can't remember how I came across it, but I started watching the anime and then I found out it was a manga, and I was like, yes, give me the manga. This is totally absurd. You have to suspend your disbelief so much. This is just absurdism at its best. It's fantasy, it's fine, funky, fresh, frivolous. It follows a young boy called Loki. Loki? It's not Loki. Loki is a Marvel character. Follows Luffy, and he ate a devil fruit. And if you eat the devil fruit, you get a power of some kind, and his turns his whole body into rubber. But one of the things that happens to you if you eat the devil fruit is you can no longer swim. But this little dude wants to be a pirate, and not just any pirate, Pirate King. But in order to get to the Pirate King, you have to go to the Grand Line. Go to the Grand Line can mean risking your life, and you need to get the One Piece. Hence the name of our manga series, and this is just fun. He sets off by himself as a young lad, trying to get a crew of people to be his pirate crew, and the characters you meet along the way, it's not in our world, it's not in any semblance of a normal world. You have to go into the mind of someone who has a really vivid imagination, just deep dive into like an Alice in Wonderland, Queen of Hearts with a massive head kind of situation. Totally absurd, Mad Hatter absurd, but it was just fine, funky, fresh and fabulous. That is all I'm saying. Next up, can we just... I loved this. It's queer, it's heartwarming, it's just wholesome cinnamon rolls wrapped in cinnamon rolls in a nice cinnamon bun tin that is just sprinkled with sugar. All the characters in this book, I just want to squeeze and just tell them that everything's going to be okay. The kids in this, brilliant. I mean, this follows Linus. He's a square. He works for a company that has lots of rules, and he goes into orphanages that says whether children with magical powers are a danger or whether they can continue to live in the orphanage. And as far as he's concerned, once he's done his job and is given that rubber stamp of approval or not approval, then that's his job done. He doesn't really think of what happens to the kids until he meets the kids from Marcius, the orphanage in the Cerulean Sea. And it's just a whole bunch of wholesomeness. The characters are great. I can't really say much more than this is just 5-star top tier. That is all, my friends. That is all I've got to say about that on that. So we have 4 more books to go through, and I'm going to do this as quick as possible. We have another floppy one. which is Windwitch by Susan Denner. This is also part of Which Lands Along, that is hosted by J.D. Reid, obviously. Again, can't say much about this because it's the second book in the series, but we follow such a brilliante character. He was one of my favourite characters from the beginning. I prefer American Edwin. I actually prefer Isolde. Sapph is probably my least favourite character, which is possibly why I gave Truthwitch 4 stars and this is a 5. Because Merrick is great. What you do find, I don't know why I'm wafting my book at you like this, what you do find is that these books follow different perspectives. If you find it difficult to follow political plot lines and like lots of different perspectives, you might need to tab it. In a way I wish I had, just because I want to discuss certain things with people, but after the first book I felt it was relatively easy to follow the multiple perspectives in this book. You do find that there are so many unreliable narrators in this, because you think one thing, obviously because that's what they're thinking, and then I formed a heavy dislike for a character based on the thoughts of one of these perspectives. But then you learn things, and things happen, things are done and said, and then things happen, and then there's a situation where I'm like, and then the end. Do you know what I mean? It's just moldy. It's just fine, fun, funky, fresh time. Read it. My top books of the month: Conjuring of Light, another little flopster. This is the third book in the Darkest Shade of Magic series, and boy did I cry. I will link my vlog somewhere up and down and around. This was possibly longer than it needed to be, but it still got 5 stars because the writing, the characters, the adventure, the perspectives, the absolutely everything about this book was top tier chef's kiss. Just brilliant. V. Schwab ended this book in a way that just made me feel all the feels, and she gave me very, very, very high highs and the lowest of lows within a matter of pages. And I don't know how writers do it, and I don't know what it is about certain writers that make me feel these things and others don't. She's just a master with words, and I absolutely loved every single minute of this. And I would 110% recommend the audiobooks for these. Any book that I've read that comes with an audiobook, yeah, actually I can say that. Any book that I've read that comes with an audiobook, I would recommend getting it, apart from The Watcher. The Watcher you could do without, but then again you don't need to read The Watcher because it was very average. If I say get the audiobook with this book, then get the audiobook with this book. Just because it's brilliant. And then we have, don't know which one to do next. We'll do this one. This is second in the King of Scars duology, or the Nikolai duology, whatever you want to call it. Multi-perspectives. It's got Nina and Zoya and Nikolai, and I just love this. Maybe I'm just a simp for about Hugo books, but the world, I think I read this. Did I read it in one sitting? I think I did. I read this in one sitting. And what happened? Got the audiobook. Audible, sponsor me. These are worth the extra credits, I tell you. If I can get it on BookBeat, I will. I don't really use Scribd anymore because they restrict you when you read too many popular books, which is total BS. Why do you do this, Scribd? But BookBeat don't, and a lot of the books that you can get on Scribd you can get on BookBeat anyway, and if you can't get on BookBeat I get it on Audible. But this and Shadow and Bone and Ready Player One were what I used extra, what I purchased extra credits for, and I would 110% recommend the audiobook with this, because it just builds atmosphere for you. You're just in there with the people, just consuming it with your eyes and your ears, and you're immersed into the world of the Grisha and just everything as a whole. Just read it, just consume the literature into the brain, because it was, I really hope that when I get ninth house I feel the same feel, although it's a slightly, I'm feeling it because I'm a magic person. I'm not a magic person, but I love magic. That makes sense. I love magic, and I feel like can't go wrong with magic. Oh, and you can go wrong with magic. Ignore that. I don't know what it is about Leigh Bardugo, but she did the damn thing, and I cannot wait to see how Nikolai materializes into the show. That was quite up here, so I'm gonna bring it down a couple of levels, because I've just realised it was very animated, and you know, like, I don't know, last month was a brilliant month, 4 and 5 star reads. I feel like I'm getting into the flow of what I like and what I do like. I'm really freaking loving. Speaking of loving, this was all the feels. Went in with mixed opinions in my brain, because so many people love this book, so many people hate this book. We are talking 5 stars, top tier. Absolutely love this. Can't wait to read the rest of the series with Liam. I've already read this with Liam. He also gave it 5 stars. I gave it 5 stars. Fairy is brilliant. I currently love Tamlin. Feel like this is going to change. Rhysand was just someone that was very confusing for me. Didn't want to like him, but kind of started feeling like maybe he's someone that I could potentially like, and he's not such an evil toolbar. But I just loved every single second of it. Once again, audiobooked on BookBeat. It was brilliant. Mixed media is my thing. I'm feeling like I'm loving the whole mixed media, listening and reading along. I'm consuming a lot more books. I feel like I absorb everything more. And when I'm reading and I want to spend a couple of hours reading, but when I'm listening to it and reading it, I feel like I could just immerse myself in whatever world I am partaking in at that particular moment in time. And I feel like when I'm not listening to something alongside reading, then I can hear all the outside noises, and then I don't really want to hear all the outside noises. I want to immerse myself in a world of magic. Just let me do that, please. Audiobooks help. Maybe it's just because I've got a scatty brain and my mind wanders a lot. I can't keep my attention on many things without something to really focus on, unless a book just like grips me from like the first few pages. So I said this was a quick wrap up. It's gonna turn into like a 40-minute wrap up, but unless a book grips me from like the first page, I find it quite difficult to like sit down and let something keep my attention, especially if I can hear outside noises. But I found that I can really sit and focus when I've got a book and I've got my earphones in and I'm just immersed. Even when I'm doing something, like I'm cleaning, if I'm just like cleaning, but then I'm just like listening and just taking it in audibly, I don't know what it is about my brain that just goes, we like it, we're doing it, liking it, I'm loving it, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Don't sue me because I'm singing your song. That is the end of it. That is the end of it. So my top 5 books of the month that I would 100 million, I would recommend reading all of the books that I have read anyway, apart from Den of Vipers. Avoid like the plague. Although Kitty loved it, and she went on to get more K&I books, so, you know, maybe don't listen to me. But top tier, top 5 books of the month are Windwitch, House in the Cerulean Sea, A Conjuring of Light, Rule of Wolves, and Akata. But like I said, would 100%, even the ones I gave 3 stars to, apart from The Watcher, I feel like, especially if you read thrillers regularly, you might be disappointed in that book, because I don't read thrillers a lot, and I figured out from like a good way that what was happening. So if I can do it, and I'm a natural blonde with 0 common sense. Academically I'm kind of okay, but common sense wise not so much. If I can figure that out, then if you're a big thriller person, I probably would avoid The Watcher. But Motor Crush was okay, would recommend it. Every other book that I read in the month would 100% recommend. So that was my wrap up. Slightly chaotic, so slightly, yeah, more than slightly. But if you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment down below what your favourite books were in May / June, because we're now on the 10th of June and I'm just filming this, so good luck editing, Lisa, you're gonna need it. For some reason I'm a happy rambling mess, and I must have said top tier shit about 10 times. Are you gonna keep all those in? Probably. I might just continue to sit here and do a haul next, because I need to haul these and get them on my shelves. So you'll probably see me in the same messy state in a couple of videos, because I'm a basic bitch. But you're used to me, so family. I'm just gonna stop rambling now. I'm gonna go. Enjoy those evenings, thou art precious. I'm gonna go now. Peace.